It is officially, at this moment, April 21st of 2019, and it's about 9:30 p.m. at this moment, so it'll be April 22nd soon enough, which means only 7 days until April 29th, the day that I turn 17. Oh boy, I've had some really mixed thoughts on this day coming because I've been thinking about the entire month, and it's been really weighing on me the fact that it is going to occur soon, that I'm going to turn 17. Jesus fucking Christ, where do I start? I feel like when I started out on this YouTube channel, even with the first videos that I made, a lot of it was just the staunch realization that I was behind everyone else. When I was in school, I always felt like I was behind every single person that was in class because when I was learning at home, I cheated on most of the work and I wasn't taught most of the work. And so when I was held back in sixth grade, I went to fifth instead. When I went to that grade, I had to catch up through most of it. I spent a lot of my free time in school doing AM exercises, accelerated math. I spent a lot of the lessons paying in as much attention as I possibly could. Before I went into school, I had 2 weeks of rapidly trying to cram the information in my head before I got in. Luckily, the placement test that I did wasn't particularly hard, and they put me in school anyway, but when I was put in school, I didn't understand most of what was going on. Now, what I was lucky for, however, was that in sixth grade we went all the way back to the basics, and we learned the basics, and then we went up from there, and so that was pretty helpful. But in seventh grade, my math teacher was absolutely garbage, and I hated her, and I wasn't really willing to learn it this time either, and so I fell back behind after having to catch up really, really quickly. And ever since then, I haven't really caught up to any significant degree. I've just kind of hung on by the threads that I can, you know, very, very tightly holding on when I feel like the string is about to break at any moment, if not breaking already, given the fact that I dropped out of school. So it's weighed on me for many, many years now. It weighed on me when I was homeschooled to think about, how am I going to be employed? What am I even going to do? Because back then, I knew that I had to have some basic skills if I was going to function in the real world, and I was thinking about that shit back then. I just distracted myself through playing video games and through doing whatever I could when I knew that the inevitable was going to occur and that I was going to be trapped in a situation where I didn't have the information and everyone else around me did. And that terrified me. It terrified me every single day that I knew I was going to be fucked over by the system in some way. Because from the foundation, from the very beginning, I was on a rocky start. I was cheating. I wasn't really taught anything that I was supposed to be learning. And so, 5 years of that later, where are you? What have you achieved? What have you learned? You're behind everyone else. When I got onto YouTube, I felt the exact same way. I was a new creator. I was very awkward when speaking, more awkward than I think a lot of people. I was talking about topics that I thought were pretty boring. I wasn't talking about them in any depth. I didn't really know what I was doing. And while people liked my videos back then, they complimented them, it just made me feel worse because I felt like I wasn't deserving anything that I was being told. Very similar to how when I would cheat in my work, my parents would tell me that I was a genius. But the reason I was cheating in the first place was because they had told me I was a genius, and that expectation was put on me to such a degree that I had to cheat in order to fulfill that expectation in my own twisted mind. Of course, if I was a smarter kid, I would have just told them, hey, I'm not a genius and I'm embarrassed about the fact that I can't do these problems, and then I would have gotten extra help, and then none of this problem would have even happened. I would have the foundation that I've been lacking for so long. But I didn't do that. I was a dumb little kid, and I cheated instead, and they kept telling me I was a genius. All the while, I kept continuing to feel guilty for the fact that I wasn't working. Each time I was told that, I just felt worse. And with each comment I got on YouTube telling me, "Oh, you're so good for your age. You know what you're doing." On the one hand, I felt immensely appreciative of what that person was saying, and it made me feel good to hear it. But on a much more significant end, I felt extremely guilty because of the compliments I was receiving, because I wasn't accurately compensating for those people. I felt I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't achieving the vision that I had in my mind. I know as a rational person now that the vision of what they had for my content and the vision of what I had for my content are two totally different things. They were looking for something that they got, and I was looking for something that I didn't get. And so when I heard the compliment, I felt bad. I felt like I was somehow deceiving the other person. When I wasn't, I was just not achieving what I had set out to achieve. And so nowadays it doesn't bother me as much, but it still bothers me. It still makes me feel bad, just not anywhere near to the degree it did when I was like 13, for instance. Um, and so I'm looking at this channel and I'm thinking, wow, I've made a couple videos that I'm really proud of, but over the course of 4 years, there's so much more I could have done in that time. So many more books I could have read. So many more things I could have stated or written. There's so much more that I did not progress on when I should have been. When on every account I should have been working harder to progress forward, but I just didn't. And I can't get those years back. No matter how much I trace into the past, no matter how much I look back, I'm never going to be able to replace the time in which I wasn't practicing. And now, at 17 years old, I can look at any number of people who are my same age and they're blazing right past me. They're in professions by now. They're, you know, doing things that I always wanted to be able to do but never set out to do. Doing things that I've always struggled to do. And when I turn 18, the cutoff point is going to be right there. If I can't be good at writing about anime or just making YouTube videos when I'm 18, if I can't be good at reading, at being able to talk efficiently to convey ideas, at interacting with other people, I feel like I'm just going to be dead. That's a bit of a dramatic way to put it, but 18 has always been the cutoff year that I've had in my mind of, if I can't get my shit together by this point, then everything is going to be fucked forever. That's how I've always thought about it. That 18 is the year you get kicked out, in America at least. 18 is the year that you're going to have to know what you're doing. And well, at this point, I'm almost 1 year away from turning 18, and I still know as little about what I'm doing as I did when I was 15. And I may have accomplished a lot last year in comparison to the year before, but that's only in comparison. It's not in the grand scheme of things. It's not in relation to other people. It's only in relation to the work that I was putting out before. So it makes me feel like absolute garbage that I'm not on the level of people who are my same age, or even people who are younger than me. That I can look at my content, that I can look at my existence as a human being, and I can say, there's probably hundreds of thousands of people that have outdone me, and that are going to continue to outdo me. What's even the point of existing at that point? I I want to be good at something. I want to say, this is my thing. This is what I'm good at. This is what I understand how to do. I don't have, the closest thing I have to that is YouTube, and I'm not even particularly good at this platform. I'm better at it than anything else, but everything else I do, I'm fucking terrible at. And when I make a video like this, it makes it sound like I'm trying to get people to compliment me. No, I don't want that, because when I hear that, I just feel even worse. I just feel like the content I make should be even better than it actually is. Do you see the innate conflict that happens in my mind, that I can't have nice things? They just get destroyed immediately by my own relentless self-criticism. Man, I just want to feel satisfied with the work that I'm doing. Because when I do feel satisfied for it, it feels like a lie. The few times where I sit down and I think, I'm proud of the body of work that I'm producing, I'm happy I made it, I think I'm doing something unique here and cool, there's that voice in my head that bites from the back that tells me, no, that's not true. You could be doing 10 times this. Why aren't you doing 10 times this? And then I'm thrown right back into the cycle of feeling like shit and telling myself that I should be doing better than what I'm currently doing. It doesn't help that when you're on the internet, you're exposed to every single person that's your age or slightly older who's accomplishing things. When I was a kid, I could be told that I was good at drawing, for instance, because there was no one else around me who drew. And so I believed I was good at drawing. I wanted to draw all the time. I wanted to be a professional artist. But when I was put in school, and my drawings were pitted against the people around me, I was immediately destroyed. And I never wanted to draw again. After 5th grade, I never drew again. I made a vlog about this on my second channel about 2 years ago, where I talked about why I don't draw. And essentially the reason that I came up with was that everyone around me vastly outclassed me. I didn't enjoy it because I felt so bad about the work that I was doing, that I felt it was so terrible that the shame kept me from producing more. When I stood there, toe to toe with people who were a year younger than me even, because I was held back, and I saw the amount of detail in their drawings, I saw the technical proficiency in a drawing that they did not with help, not with instructions, but just by sitting there and imagining it. And then I compared that to the shitty drawing, the shitty tracing that I did with instructions, with help, with 10 times whatever they had as resources that I paid for all these fucking art supplies, and I didn't even know how to use them. They could use a single number 2 pencil better than I could an entire box of numbered pencils. It made me want to tear my hair out. It made me want to cry. Because I saw how much better they were at everything it was that I said I wanted to do. Every single thing I said, I was a professional in, that was my thing. They were just vastly outclassing me in it. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that moment in school. There's similar things, like I said, throughout time where I've just always felt this way. Like I said, when I was being homeschooled, and I would cheat on tests and stuff, because I felt that if I didn't cheat, I wouldn't be told I was a genius anymore. And the pressure that was put on me from being told I was a genius, I needed to keep it a secret that I wasn't smart, because I always believed that I was not a smart guy, that I didn't know what I was doing, and the fact that I was being told that I was smart and didn't know what I was doing was even more evident of the fact that I was not smart. And so the only way I knew how to fix that was by just pretending. That's been the story of my entire fucking life, is just pretending like I've achieved more than I've actually achieved. I talked about this, like 2 years ago, when The Struggles of an Outlaw 1 was recorded. In that video, I called myself a con artist, because on my channel, I felt that just by existing, my content was disingenuous. That I was leading you to believe that I was a smarter person than I truly was just by making any videos. The premise of that is inherently silly, but what is true about that video was that I've always felt that I'm underperforming. The basic through line that made that video what it was is pretty clear. You know, even though the details are wrong and stupid. The point of the video was that my content was bad, who I was bad, everyone else was outperforming me, and that I was going to be left in the dust. And, I don't feel particularly different than I did about that in 2017. I don't feel particularly different about that than I did in 2009. I've always felt like this guy who's just barely scraping by, and through virtue of being able to speak with a lot of excitability and with a lot of pretty words that I just pull out off the top of my head from hearing them from other people out of an obsessive memory that I have to keep of the words around me, instead of actually using them for something good, I'm able to wow people and make them feel like I'm a smart guy, that I've accomplished a lot by telling grandiose stories and by being able to talk excited about them. It's not even that the stories aren't true, or that the way I'm talking isn't true. It's just that if you took away that mask, that aura of excitability, of the radio personality who's going to speak a million words a second, if you take those things away, and you look at the substance of what I'm saying, if you look at the ideas that I'm giving you, most of the time, it isn't anything profound. It's just me speaking into a camera. Maybe you connect with that, and I can't blame you. I connect with the same thing. But the simple fact is that I'm not pushing anything forward. I'm not building anything new. I'm not restructuring anything. I'm just saying words at the end of the day. And that's the fact that I've had to grapple with for as long as I can remember. Because none of what I've been doing throughout the years has been about real accomplishment, has been about actually doing the things that people have claimed that I can do. It's been about cheating on tests to look like I can do it, just barely scooting by to keep myself from entering in a state of social outcastdom. Don't know if that's a word, I just made it up. Not wanting to be the other, not wanting to be the person that people say is different and is bad and isn't cool. There's nothing worse than feeling like that. There's nothing worse than being told that you haven't accomplished anything. And so, instead of just facing the reality of who it is that I am, all the things that I haven't done, I would talk. I would present myself as a more grandiose figure than I truly am. And I would scoot by with enough social clout to be recognized as an interesting and cool guy. But in my heart, I always knew that I was just this dumb guy saying stuff without really saying anything. I don't want to get older. I don't want to turn 17, because each time I turn 16, turn 17, that's another year closer to 18. And 18 is the year of death. Cheers.